Good evening and welcome. You're watching India Decides. This, of course, is the big countdown ahead of phase 4 of the general election. It's a key phase that is spanning across 10 states. There's a lot at stake, Vedant, across the 96 constituencies.
Absolutely. All eyes, of course, will be on the 25 seats in Andhra Pradesh and, of course, in Odisha. These are the two states where simultaneous assembly polls also taking place. Big faces in the fray. Akhilesh Yadav, Mahua Moitra, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, Asaduddin Owaisi. So, of course, a lot at stake, as Rishika pointed out. In fact, the Prime Minister has been campaigning extensively in Bengal and Bihar. Those are the key states going to polls tomorrow as well.
And the Prime Minister, in fact, from that massive roadshow he held in Patna, has spoken with the NDTV's Maria Shakil, an exclusive interview with the Prime Minister ahead of phase 4 of the elections. Before we get you a sense of what's actually happening, let's first get you that big exclusive with the Prime Minister.
He is the tallest mass leader that India has seen in many decades. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is today in Patliputra, and in this epic battle, he has decided to give us time amidst his busy schedule. Pradhan Mantri ji, NDTV के दर्शकों के लिए बात करने के लिए बहुत-बहुत शुक्रिया. हमारे 6 चैनल के जो व्यूअर्स हैं वो अभी आपको देख रहे हैं. आपने देश भर में कार्यक्रम किया. पटना की वाइब्स क्या कुछ अलग है?
हिंदुस्तान के करीब सभी राज्यों में मेरा जाना हुआ और मैं कह सकता हूं पूरे देश में भारतीय जनता पार्टी और एनडीए को 400 पार कराने का दृढ़ संकल्प है. बिहार ने भी उसमें कई नए रंग भरे हैं. बिहार ने उसमें एक नई ताकत दी और इस प्रकार से ये अपने आप में पूरे देश का जो माहौल है वही माहौल बिहार का है.
प्रधानमंत्री जी, बहुत सारे आंकड़े लगाए जा रहे हैं कि जो ईस्ट इंडिया है वहां पे बीजेपी का अपस्विंग है. बंगाल की बात कर लें या फिर उड़ीसा की, आंध्र प्रदेश और तेलंगाना में भी, तो आपका क्या असेसमेंट है?
एक तो राजनीति के अलावा अगर मैं कहूं तो शायद मेरा 2013 का भाषण है और तब मैं पीएम कैंडिडेट भी नहीं था कि भारत का विकास करना है तो हमें पूर्वी भारत को विकसित करना चाहिए. पूर्वी भारत को ग्रोथ इंजन बनाना चाहिए. पिछले 10 साल में मैंने लगातार हिंदुस्तान के पूर्वी भारत में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर, एजुकेशन, हेल्थ, ऐसे हर प्रोजेक्ट पर बल दिया है. इस चुनाव का जहां तक सवाल है, जबरदस्त आंधी उत्तर, दक्षिण, पूरब, पश्चिम सब दूर है. पूर्व में इस बार परिणाम ज्यादा मिलेंगे पहले की तुलना में और मैं मानता हूं देश के लोगों के लिए ये चौंकाने वाला. जैसे तेलंगाना, आप कल्पना नहीं कर सकते वैसा परिणाम तेलंगाना में मिलेगा, वैसा आंध्र में मिलेगा, वैसा उड़ीसा में मिलेगा, वैसा बंगाल में मिलेगा, पूर्वी भारत में मिलेगा, बिहार हो, झारखंड हो, असम हो. यानी एक प्रकार से मैं देख सकता हूं कि चुनाव में भारतीय जनता पार्टी के पास जो है उसमें कई नए एरिया अधिक प्लस करेंगे.
ये कैचमेंट एरियाज की आप बात कर रहे हैं. प्रधानमंत्री जी, बिहार का आंकलन करिए. क्या लग रहा है बिहार में क्या होगा?
बिहार में हमारे साथियों से मेरी बात हुई. पहले हमारी एक सीट हम हारे थे, शायद इस बार हम एक भी नहीं हारेंगे.
अभी हम जहां पे खड़े हैं वो चरखा समिति के पास हैं हम. आप बताइए, जब आप आते हैं बिहार तो आपको क्या क्या ख्याल आता है?
वैसे मैं संगठन के काम के लिए यहाँ बहुत आया हूँ. अनेक क्षेत्रों में मैं गया हूँ और मैं काफी पुरानी चीजों से जुड़ा हुआ रहा हूँ यहाँ.
आप इस चुनाव को रेफरेंडम के तौर पे देखते हैं या गवर्नेंस मॉडल की लड़ाई देखते हैं?
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने देश को एक गवर्नेंस का मॉडल दिया है. देश ने कांग्रेस का मॉडल देखा है, देश ने लेफ्ट का मॉडल देखा है, देश ने मिली जुली सरकारों का मॉडल देखा है और देश ने पूर्ण बहुमत वाले भाजपा एनडीए का मॉडल देखा है और वो एक गतिशील सरकार देखी है, निर्णायक सरकार देखी है, रिस्क लेने वाली सरकार देखी है और उसके आधार पर हम आगे बढ़ रहे हैं।
प्रधानमंत्री जी, महिलाओं की संख्या वहां पर बहुत है। महिला वोटर, आपने एक कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी बनाई अपने लिए, क्योंकि जो आपने किया, इज्जत घर दिया, उज्ज्वला योजना, बहुत सारे राज्य में भी महिला सेंट्रिक स्कीम है, तो आपको लगता है वो महिला वोटर आपके साथ है?
एम्पावरमेंट ऑफ विमेन, ये मेरा कमिटमेंट है और मैंने G20 समिट में एक लीड लिया है, विमेन लेड डेवलपमेंट, और इसके लिए हमें महिलाओं को अवसर देना चाहिए। परंपरागत हमारी जो चीजों में महिलाओं को जोड़ते हैं उससे ऊपर उठना चाहिए। जैसे हमने गांव में ड्रोन दीदी बनाई, जैसे हमने आर्मी के दरवाजे खोल दिए, जैसे हमने एयरफोर्स में पायलट बनाए, हमने सीमा पर हमारी बेटियों को भेजा, सियाचिन में हमारी बेटियां जाकर के देश की रक्षा कर रही है। तो मैं एक साइकोलॉजिकल चेंज में सफल हुआ हूं और देश की विकास यात्रा में महिलाओं की शक्ति एक अतिरिक्त शक्ति बनेगी और वो परिणाम को गति देगी।
और आज का दिन बहुत खास भी है, मदर्स डे है।
धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद,
शुक्रिया हमसे बात करने के लिए।
In fact, Maria Shakil is now joining us live. Also, Ankit Tyagi and Amritanshi as a big focus on the Phase 4 build-up continues. But Maria, going across to you first, you know, that big exclusive today in Patna, your home state as well. But the Prime Minister, you know, spoke at length about, you know, his new governance model, the Labharti model, also women-led development. Take us to some of the highlights of this big exclusive.
That's right, Vedant, and the Prime Minister is going to stay the night here because tomorrow morning there are 3 rallies that have been planned for him in various parts of Bihar. So yes, Bihar has been, once upon a time, it was seen as an important axis with UP, Bihar. Total, combined strength has been almost 120 MPs in the Lok Sabha. But yes, over the last 2014 and 2019, we have seen BJP-JDU alliance sweep Bihar completely. Last time around, they had 139 of 40 seats. Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in that exclusive interview that he had with NDTV and the entire network, he did specify that he is confident that one seat which was not won by the BJP and the alliance in 2019 will be won this time around. And look, I've seen that the BJP clearly is talking about these catchment areas, and perhaps the big picture which many may be overlooking at the moment. The Prime Minister there emphasizing on the fact that the Look East policy of the Government of India, which is essentially about focusing on how the eastern states of India should develop, then only the entire development model of India will succeed. He has spoken about how he sees, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Bengal and Odisha in particular as catchment areas. And that is a policy which began several years ago, and that he is hoping that will yield political dividends this time around. But the euphoria and the entire atmosphere, Vedant, I've covered so many rallies of the Prime Minister. I think Patna particularly seems to be very, very special. The kind of vibes that he was getting, the kind of response that the crowd was giving to Prime Minister was completely unparalleled.
All right.
Well, absolutely. It was a grand roadshow there, Maria. But quick question, we also saw Ravi Shankar Prasad there, Nitish Kumar there, but it was a Modi show all the way, wasn't it? I mean, whether it was the supporters, there was really nothing that spoke of an alliance per se. There was nothing that really showed any JDU over there. It was a BJP roadshow all the way, a Modi roadshow all the way.
But the Prime Minister ensured the presence of Bihar Chief Minister and JDU President Nitish Kumar, because these elections are being fought in an alliance way. It's an NDA which is fighting these elections. There is another constituent of NDA in Bihar, which is the LJP of Chirag Paswan, which is also contesting on a number of seats. But yes, the roadshow was about Prime Minister Narendra Modi and him alone, because the response that was coming from the crowd was for him. But yes, Nitish was present, and so was Ravi Shankar Prasad, because he is the Member of Parliament from Patna, and he is also the candidate of the BJP this time around. But interestingly, we have seen that transitions which have happened. So every time there is an assembly election, Nitish Kumar does some kind of a U-turn. But when there is a Lok Sabha, he understands fully well that it is brand Narendra Modi which is sustaining NDA in Bihar. And even in assembly elections, and I would recall that for our viewers, Rishika, quickly, in 2020, that happened soon after the COVID lockdown, there was a lot of anger against Nitish Kumar. Nitish Kumar's party, JDU, became the party number 3 in those elections. But the BJP was party number 2 after Tejasvi Yadav's, RJD emerging as the party number 1. But the larger message, even in those times, was that the Prime Minister Modi ensured food on the plates because of the scheme that he ran for 80 crore Indians, the food, the free ration scheme. So I think that message and the sentiment for Prime Minister Modi is very, very different. Many are saying that Nitish Kumar's JDU is very much an albatross around the BJP's growth and the neck. It hasn't done much. It doesn't contribute much. But because of the caste equations which play out in Bihar, which is about those 6%, 7% Kurmis, Koiris, that's the reason why the BJP went in for this alliance when Nitish Kumar walked out of Mahagathbandhan.
All right. Thanks very much, Maria, for joining us with that. And of course, that big interview with the Prime Minister that we'll be playing for our viewers here on NDTV. We have, of course, like I said, our team of reporters fanned out across key states. We have Pratibha joining us from Vijayawada. We have Ankit Tyagi joining us from Kannauj, Ratnadeep from Behrampur, Amritanshi from Ujjain. Amritanshi, we lost that line with you earlier. I want to come to you first. The elections in Madhya Pradesh come to an end tomorrow, essentially, and it's a key phase as far as the Malwa-Nimar belt is concerned. But I want to talk specifically about Indore, not very far from where you are right now, where it's a walkover for the BJP, a story that's repeated itself over and over in this election.
So basically, this is a very interesting elections because Indore seat is a very important seat for each and every party. But in Indore, Congress is campaigning for the Nota button and BJP is campaigning with the Congress candidate who joined BJP earlier, and he returned his nomination with Kailash Vijayvargiya. So very interesting seat, very interesting fight in Indore between the Nota and the BJP candidate though. All big faces were campaigning especially in this election, and right now we are in Ujjain. CM Mohan Yadav, this is the hometown of CM Mohan Yadav. He has been campaigning throughout these elections for Ujjain. He has held many road shows in Ujjain especially. Also the seats, the other seats on which polling is to be done tomorrow, Dhar, Ratlam, Jhabua, these are the seats which have tribal voters as the deciding factors on these seats. And in Madhya Pradesh, tribal voters are considered very important part. Even Prime Minister Narendra Modi held his Jan Sabhas, held his public meetings in the tribal areas. Also talking about the other seats, especially the Ujjain seat, the fight is very interesting here because BJP has fielded Anil Firozia, he's the sitting MP from 2019. He won from BJP, but in fight is the MLA from Congress, the Tarana Vidhayak Mahesh Parmar. Mahesh Parmar defeated Anil Firozia in the 2018 elections in Madhya Pradesh, but in 2019 Anil Firozia won as an MP. Both are in the fight, and it's very interesting fight here. But also Dhar and the Ratlam Jhabua seats are very crucial for BJP and also the Congress, because Congress is totally having these tribal voters in their favor, trying to do the tribal voters in their favor, but BJP is trying to continue all to win the 8 seats which they have won in 2019 also.
It's very interesting that you say that, because Khargone and Dhar is something where are 2 seats where there is a close contest, and Vedant, Prime Minister Narendra Modi himself has campaigned here. He's held 2 rallies not very long ago, I think just last week, in both these seats. So any seat which is a close contest, you have the star campaigner who sort of checked the boxes in a certain sense. But Madhya Pradesh comes to an end tomorrow.
Pulling out all the stops there. But going from Madhya Pradesh to the other heartland state where Ankit is in UP, in Kannauj. Ankit, my first question to you, where is your trademark gamcha as you report, especially from the Samajwadi bastion? Kannauj has been a Yadav citadel. Akhilesh Yadav announcing his candidature at the 11th hour. What is the mood on the ground in Kannauj?
The Gamcha along with the voters comes out 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. That's the time when the heat would be peaking, and that is the time you need the Gamcha the most. But in Kannauj, of course, this is a prestige battle for Akhilesh Yadav. He's known as Bhaiya Ji here. So when you go around and talk to people in the Bada Bazaar area, which is the Itr capital, of course, many of the big traders of the Itr, the small bottle perfume that you find here in Bada Bazaar, everybody calls him Bhaiya Ji. Bhaiya Ji started his political career as a Lok Sabha MP from Kannauj. He won the by-election in 2000. And then, of course, went on to win the elections in 2004, then in 2009, and resigned in 2012 when he became the chief minister. Then his wife, Dimple Yadav, in fact, won the by-election in 2012, won 2014 unopposed. And in 2019 was the first time the family, in fact, lost this seat of Kannauj. It was a close margin of about 10,000 votes, where Subrat Pathak of the Bharatiya Janata Party was able to win this seat. Now, not just Kannauj, this is also, a lot of people would know Kannauj, Etawah, and this entire area, Saifai Manpuri, the Alu belt of Uttar Pradesh. This is where the Samajwadi Party would be hoping to do better than what they did in 2019. If the BJP's tally has to come down, it will be these seats that the Samajwadi Party would be desperately hoping that their performance goes up. For Akhilesh Yadav, of course, it is homecoming, trying to take back, wrest back the seat that his wife, in fact, lost last time. But let me very quickly tell you that there is significant anti-incumbency against the sitting MP, but as we have been talking about Narendra Modi, he's the trump card. A lot of voters that we spoke to are not voting for the sitting MP, but they are voting for Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and that is what makes the contest interesting even in Kannauj, where Akhilesh Yadav held the cards right to his chest, right to the last moment before he declared his candidature from there. 13 seats, apart from Kannauj, 12 other seats, including Kanpur, Unnao, which have been the BJP strongholds.
Yes.
Kanpur was a seat traditionally of the Congress party. BJP has been continuously winning from there. All those seats will be seeing action tomorrow. This is the time where the India Alliance would be trying to get their tally better, trying to bring the tally of the BJP down. Can they do that? We'll know on 4th.
Well, absolutely. And Lakhimpur Kheri, where Ajay Mishra Teni is in fact contesting the election despite that entire controversy that blew up, Ankit. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. We'll of course come to you at 7 a.m. sharp, and we hope to see the Gamcha back. But let's go across to Saurabh Gupta joining us from Bengal. Saurabh, it's a high-profile election as far as Bengal is concerned. There's a lot of star power that we're going to see battle it out tomorrow. Break it down for us. Key contests and what's at stake given the fact that it's a three-cornered contest in most states with the TMC ditching the India bloc?
Yes, and that's very clear to see in seats like Baharampur, where you have a TMC candidate, very strong candidate in Yusuf Pathan, cricketer Yusuf Pathan, who's contesting there, taking on Adhik Chaudhary, who's been MP from that seat since 1999. He's, of course, the Congress leader in the Lok Sabha. So you have that contest, and like you said, a three-way contest in several seats. But in Asansol, for example, you have a contest between Shatrughan Sinha and SS Ahluwalia. Shatrughan Sinha, a well-known, popular star actor, also sitting MP. SS Ahluwalia was MP from the neighbouring seat, Bardhaman Durgapur. He's now contesting from Asansol. In the neighbouring seat, Bardhaman Durgapur, also you have Dilip Ghosh, who was the former BJP state president, widely credited with 18 seats for the BJP in 2019. On the other hand, you also have Kirti Azad, winner of the 1983 World Cup winning team, taking him on. Then you have Baharampur, like I said, and you have Krishnanagar. And Krishnanagar, of course, you know, is Mahua Moitro versus Amrita Roy, Krishnanagar royal family member. And also, let's not forget Birbhum, where this time around the TMC does not have Anubrata Mondal, the district president, to manage the elections for the party. So you have very interesting seats, you have very interesting faces in these elections who are contesting. And Asansol, Baharampur, Birbhum, also you have, the Bardhaman Durgapur, and all these seats going to polls is very, very interesting and a very hotly contested phase, because remember, these are the phases where actually these parties can snatch seats from each other. It is a decider phase. In the earlier phases, we had, elections where it was strongholds. You knew which party was largely winning those seats. But now we are in the decider phase where it's difficult to predict who's winning the seat.
Absolutely, so a lot of swing seats there. But going across to you, Pratibha, Andhra Pradesh, of course, all eyes on this southern state with assembly polls also being held simultaneously. The capital issue seems to be taking center stage. It seems to be a contest between Amravati and Vizag, with, of course, the BJP also saying that they'll make Amravati the capital. How much of that do you see playing out on the ground? It's an emotive issue, certainly.
Well, most certainly, because most of the voters would not just be choosing their chief minister tomorrow as far as the assembly election in Andhra Pradesh is concerned, but they will also be pinning their hopes on realizing the dream capital city for Andhra Pradesh. Remember, after the bifurcation of Andhra Pradesh, there has been no capital city that has been confirmed for the state of Andhra Pradesh here. While on one hand, yes, Chandrababu Naidu of the TDP has been promising to make Amravati the capital city for Andhra Pradesh. However, that dream project fizzled out due to lack of funds as well as lack of support from the centre. And in the meantime, Mr. Jagan Reddy, the incumbent chief minister, who has been promising to make Vizag the capital city, of course, along with the 3 capital city plan that he has for Andhra Pradesh there. Well, that has definitely become a poll plank as well as an election issue here as far as the assembly election is concerned. But as far as the Lok Sabha election, it is going to be a chemistry of welfare initiatives that has been presented by the Jagan Reddy government versus the arithmetic of alliance that is playing out by the NDA. We have the BJP, the TDP headed by Chandrababu Naidu, and you have Pawan Kalyan's Janasena, all 3 of them joining hands to form the NDA there, who would be turning out to be a formidable force for the Jagan Reddy government here in Andhra Pradesh. But as far as the Lok Sabha election is concerned, one key personality would also be Sharmila Reddy, who is the sister of incumbent Chief Minister, Mr. Jagan Reddy, who is spearheading the Congress here in Andhra Pradesh and also fighting her family, that is the YSR family there. Interesting contest that would play out in Andhra Pradesh would definitely be Kadapa, where Sharmila Reddy would be contesting against her cousin, Vijayawada, where I'm reporting from, where there are 2 brothers a sibling rivalry that is playing out, one from the YSRCP and the other from TDP. And another interesting seat would definitely be Guntur as well, where the richest candidates in the Lok Sabha are in the fray here as far as Guntur is concerned. And Vijayawada also happens to be very close to Amravati there. So a lot of dreams, a lot of hopes and a lot of interesting contests playing out in Andhra Pradesh. Tomorrow's the D-Day. Back to you.
All right. Let's go across to Ratnadeep now. Ratnadeep, Odisha is also one of those states which is seeing simultaneous polls. It's a big test for Naveen Patnaik, who's battling now a 25-year anti-incumbencies. Of course, now got a number 2 in place. But what's really happening? Because so far we've seen that Naveen Patnaik has sided with the BJP, extending outside support to the NDA on key issues. But it does appear that the old friends have had some bitter talk in the last couple of weeks.
That's right. In fact, if you see the kind of campaign that BJP has done in Odisha after the talks for an alliance kind of failed, is something to show that the BJP is trying to see Odisha as the new ground where the party would not only like to make political inroads but win more seats. Remember, Odisha, Bengal and Northeast, these 3 regions have been in BJP's plan of things in terms of maximizing their number of seats so that their seats increase. And therefore, Prime Minister Modi had led the campaign in Odisha targeting the BJD, which has been in power for 25 years, directly targeting Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik. And there has been a retort from Naveen Babu, as he's fondly called here. I am reporting right this moment from Beharampur town, the silk city of Odisha. Behind me is a bustling city, but this is the fortress of the Janata Dal. This is the home district of Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik, the Ganjam district. And here in Beharampur, there is a close fight this time because of the turn courts. There have been a lot of turn courts who are contesting this time in different seats. And in Beharampur, you have Pradeep Panigrahi, who was once a former minister in BJD government, once a very close aide of Naveen Patnaik, now the BJP candidate. Whereas BJD has given ticket to once a top BJP leader from Odisha, Bhrigu Bakshipatra. So a close fight here also in the Kalahandi seat, which is going to poll tomorrow. The seat among the 4 seats which are going to poll tomorrow for Lok Sabha, Kalahandi is the seat which BJP holds. They have given ticket to a new candidate, Malvika Deo, from the erstwhile royal family of Kalahandi. You have Koraput, which is the only bastion of the Congress. Whether Saptagiri Ulaka will be able to hold on to that bastion is a big question. And also Navrangragar, the tribal reserve seat, there is a 3-way fight there. But talking about the assembly, remember there are simultaneous assembly polls tomorrow. 28 of the 147 seats are going to poll. Last time BJD won 112. BJP became the main opposition, winning 23 seats. But this time, the feeling that I am getting at the ground zero, the BJP has tried hard to increase its tally in the assembly as well. And remember, one of the major factors is, after Naveen Babu, who in BJD, Mr. Pandian looks to be that answer. But whether that answer is acceptable to the people or not will be decided tomorrow.
Yes. Thanks very much, Ratnadeep. In fact, a big thank you to our team of reporters. We'll, of course, keep going back to our team of reporters at Ground Zero, and our coverage will begin at 7 a.m. tomorrow.
Right, and let's introduce our panel. Also, we have a power-packed panel on India Decides this evening. Tuhin Sinha, national spokesperson of the BJP, is with us. Also, Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist. Aarti Jairat, senior journalist, is also with us. Manisha Priyam, our political analyst, and Amitabh Tiwari continues to be with us in studio. Going across to you first, Manisha Priyam, one thing interesting about this particular phase is that there are a lot of swing seats in the fray. Less strongholds and more swing seats. How do you look at that?
I mean, there's no other answer to this. The moment you have more swing seats in your bag, you have to wait for how it goes. But let me also tell you that this time around, in this phase particularly, a lot of the seats that are reserved for affirmative action categories, those are in the fray. And the last time the scenario had been that the BJP had done exceptionally well. But apart from that, a large number of fragment of regional parties had done well. So whether that scenario continues to hold or not, that's going to be important to observe, because that will give you an understanding whether the poorer social castes and classes in the northern parts of India especially repose their faith in the BJP and the Prime Minister. And you could see Maria's important interview being held with the Prime Minister as he alighted from the aircraft and was going on to a roadshow in the city of Patna, where the sitting Member of Parliament is indeed Ravi Shankar Prasad for the Patna Sahib Lok Sabha constituency. He stays there tonight, and I'm aware that this is going to be Prime Minister Narendra Modi's first foray in the rural parts of Bihar and eastern UP. That hits the ground now. And that's extremely important. And I can tell you that's not swing. The BJP is likely to defend a large part of the core that it holds there. And you could almost see and sense the momentum as Maria spoke to him.
All right. Well, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens in that region. And I mean, of course, that's where the BJP is also focused all of its energies. But it's also focused its energies actually everywhere. Where have they not focused their energies? Neerja Chaudhary, if I can just ask you and, just sort of shift our focus a little bit to the key states of Andhra Pradesh and Bihar. The election also comes to an end in the south of India tomorrow with these two states voting. Simultaneous polls in Andhra Pradesh as well. How are you looking at the battle in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana? I mean, if you look at Telangana, it's a prestige battle for Revanth Reddy, a battle for survival for the Congress. And, many would say advantage BJP either way it goes in Andhra Pradesh. But what do you see happening as far as the state election in Andhra Pradesh is concerned? Do you think it's going to be too close to call?
I think it's a close election from what everybody is saying. Jagan Reddy versus the Troika, which is Chandrababu Naidu, which people have called it BJP. Babu, Chandrababu Naidu, Jagan Reddy, and Pawan Kalyan. So BJP, that's the troika. And yes, it is supposed to be a tough one. Many people feel if at all Jagan Reddy it will be a scrape through if he makes it. But it's very interesting, if I may just also say about what the Prime Minister said to Maria Shakil. It's interesting that he should pitch it today at Look East policy. Of course, he talked about it in 2013 that, you know, the government will do a lot for the eastern states of India, but the eastern states of India are where elections are still due, where the BJP can mop up seats. So his eyes are on that. If you look at it, Andhra Pradesh, very important, where it can increase its tally. Telangana, also a state where it can increase its tally. It got only 4 last time.
He also spoke about Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, interestingly.
Yeah, so, and he mentioned them. So only 4 last time, and this time it seemed to be a direct fight, much more of a direct fight between the Congress in power and BJP, and BRS, you may find it, you know, caving in. Then he goes to Jharkhand in the east. There also, it could up its tally by 1 or 2, though there is sympathy factor for Hemant Soren amongst the tribals. Odisha also, it had got 8 last time and BJD had got 12. Could it push up its tally by 1 or 2 in Odisha? The Prime Minister this time is not a friendly fight with Naveen Patnaik. You know, he was very sharp with the Chief Minister of Odisha. As we know, he said he could not even from memory speak of the districts of Orissa without looking at the piece of paper. And Naveen Babu also hit back and said that BJP was not likely to come to power, forget 10 districts, but for the next 10 years. So it's a real fight, I think we are seeing in Orissa. And of course, Bihar, where he is. And as Manisha was saying, he's going to spend the night there.
Yes.
That's the importance given. Of course, 39 out of 40 was the tally last time. It's a tall order to reach that level. But, you know, some people believed even if they had not gone in for an alliance with Nitish Kumar, of course, they had to wean him away from the India alliance. The BJP might have done well enough in Bihar. So anyway, we will see, of course, when the results are out. And of course, West Bengal also in East. That also where BJP has its eye on the, you know, on that state.
Yes.
So those are the states where it is able to 1, 2, 3 up its tally to compensate for the loss of seats that take place elsewhere in the country.
Absolutely. And before we get our other analysts, let me quickly get some political reactions also. Shama Mohammed of the Congress is with us. Shama, you know, a lot of alliances at play, whether it's Andhra Pradesh, Odisha, of course, you have the BJP-BJD alliance collapsing. In Maharashtra, you know, the alliance arithmetic is key there. Even in Bihar, a new Mahagathbandhan on the rise. So, you know, would you concede that perhaps the BJP has an edge when it comes to this entire alliance arithmetic?
How does BJP have an edge? I fail to understand. They have no alliance with the Akalis, which is broken off. Yes, they have a part of the Shinde alliance with the Shindes, but Shiv Sena and the NCP. But India alliance is 29 parties or 20. We've gone down to 27. So we have a bigger alliance here. And let's understand, the Congress party during the UPA years carried the alliance partners. We have never harmed our alliance partners. We have had those alliance partners. We continue with the alliance partners. But if you look at what the BJP does is, they go as the smaller partner in a state. For example, Maharashtra. It was Shiv Sena, which was the major party there. What do? They just break them off. And they finish off the Shiv Sena. They finish off NCP and they want to grow as the bigger party. That's what they did also in Bihar, which they made LJP into 2, you know, and JDU, which was the bigger party where the votes were with them before. Now that's become a smaller party. So they just eat up their alliance partners and finish them off. Akalis, their oldest alliance partner, no more an alliance partner, gone. So, you know, BJP is dangerous for alliance partners because they actually don't believe in any sort of alliance. They want the alliance partner. It's like a parasite. It's not symbiotic. So parasites come, they take over. So BJP is a parasite which comes and take over and finishes off the alliance. But if we look at us, whether it's RJD, whether it's NCP, we've always had our alliance partners and JMM. We don't try to finish them off. We keep this, and that's how we believe in even the IUML in Kerala, for example. We continue to have these alliance partners, and they have always been with us. So there is, you know, our alliance partners know that there is trust here. Right. Whereas with BJP, there is no trust because one day TDP is your alliance partner. They had an issue with them. They left because they were not given the special status. Then they come back. JDU has always been with the Bharatiya Janata Party. He leaves, comes to us, then goes back. So you see, they have always had a temperamental sort of relationship. And as I see it, is the India alliance which is doing well, and that's why the Prime Minister of India is very nervous these days. The Election Commission is the biggest. I mean, this time the Election Commission has created fraud on our country. I can tell you,
Let's get
no action on that side of the
All right. Well, that's a strong statement to make, but let's get Tuhin Sinha to just respond to some of what Shama Mohammed has said, because I think as far as souring of alliances is concerned, it happens everywhere and it happens on both sides. So, Tuhin Sinha.
The kind of language, the uncouth language which Congress is resorting to these days, calling the Election Commission a fraud, calling the BJP a parasite, the way the Congress spokesperson has done in the 2 minutes that you gave her on the show, that shows the level of frustration of this Congress party. Fact is that in the first 3 phases of elections, we have crossed 200. That's what the internal assessment tells us. And in the last 10 years, our internal assessments have been 10 times more credible than that of the Congress party. So these are the elections where, like any arduous student, we are going for the jugular, we are going for 400, whereas Congress is going for 40 par. And I must congratulate you for the wonderful interview that Maria Shakil managed with the Honorable Prime Minister. And I have to point out that this is the 33rd interview, I'm told, of the Prime Minister in the last 1 month. Compare it with the supposed or the pretentious contender, Rahul Gandhi, who has not had the confidence to give a single interview. And I don't know in what capacity he challenges the Prime Minister, because I don't think any of the India Alliance partners would approve of him being the leader of the India Alliance. So that's the reality.
So I have to reply to this.
Please don't barge in. Have the courtesy. Please don't barge in. 3 states which are voting tomorrow, at least in 3 states, Andhra, Telangana and Orissa, we are headed towards big gains. And across the country, the momentum is for the BJP because, unlike the clarity which the Prime Minister has shown in all his speeches, unlike the articulation which he has shown, the other side has been extremely confused, especially on, insidious issues.
I want to, before I get Shama Mohammed to respond, I want to bring in Amitabh Tiwari, because just a short while ago, we were talking about the exact same thing, weren't we? The absolutely unforgiving schedule as far as the Prime Minister is concerned. Interviews or not, that's always debatable, but just in terms of the ground that the Prime Minister has covered versus, say, what Rahul Gandhi has covered, how do the numbers stack up?
Yeah, so one of the articles I was reading, I think, said that Prime Minister Modi has had 100 plus rallies, whereas Rahul Gandhi has had 40 rallies till date. I mean, it could be a few days old article, so that shows the level of...
But that's roughly what the numbers add up to.
Correct. So that is how it is. So because Prime Minister Modi is the primary vote catcher of the BJP, he has given it all out and has been touring in states as well as giving interviews to media, as Tuhinji is saying.
Yes.
Whereas we have not heard either of the Gandhis giving an interview to any television channel on a one-to-one basis.
All right. Shama Mohammed, do you want to respond to that?
Yeah, can I respond? So he said, I have used 2 words in the last, parasite and something else. The Prime Minister of India...
Let's not make this personal. I was talking about
the
amount of ground that's been covered by your star campaigners versus that of the BJP.
I have to reply to him. No, what sort of nonsense is this? If you want to be a BJP channel, then I will...
nonsense.
Let me reply.
I'm afraid let's not get into this personal business. Let me ask you a simple question.
It's our
your
job
response.
to moderate and ask you questions. Come on, Shama Mohammed.
I want to reply to so he says about my listing. So I'm telling you, the Prime Minister calls me Guspetia. I'm a Guspetia in this country.
Don't compare
anything else. The Prime Minister of India calls me Guspetia. So what is it? He says Mangalsutra खींच के मुसलमानों को देते हैं. What? No, I did not interrupt you. And by the way, on the press conferences or the interviews in 2019,
mind your language.
Guspetia. Prime Minister of India called me Guspetia. Prime Minister called me Guspetia. Okay, so now I did not interrupt him. Let me finish. Now you spoke about the press conferences. Enough and more press conferences has been given. Interviews have been given by Rahul Gandhi, and Rahul Gandhi has done enough and more press conferences. In a press conference, a journalist can ask anything they want. The interviews of the Prime Minister of India are staged. Let's let the Prime Minister do one press conference.
No, I will
in
need
the last
to
10 years.
Okay.
He has not done a
This
press
can
conference.
go on. I have very limited time.
No, sorry,
You may call me all the names you like, but I
have.
have a job to do and I'm going to do just
No, I'm
that.
sorry,
Aarti
Susan,
Jairath,
no, wait a
if you
second.
were to
No,
look at
you-
and
no,
give
no.
our
You
viewers
did
at the
not
very
interrupt,
outset
Tuhi. I
an
did not
overview
interrupt,
of what's
Tuhi.
going to
I
happen
did
in
not
phase 4,
interrupt,
how
Tuhi.
crucial it
I
is,
did
how
not
big a
interrupt.
litmus test it is, how would you peg it? Aarti Jairath.
I'm sorry, I could not hear the question at all.
I'm so sorry for that. I'm afraid this has become a bit of a mudslinging match in which Vedant and I have also been dragged in. But anyway, I was asking you about an overview, going forward as we end the broadcast tonight, an overview going forward into phase 4, please.
Well, this marks the end of the polling in South India. And, that's where the BJP would have had to make its as many gains as possible to reach that 400 par, target that the Prime Minister has set. We'll have to see how that works out. Andhra Pradesh is proving to be very interesting, actually, because, the BJP has a very strong alliance with TDP and Pawan Kalyan. And, the fact that the Sharmila has crossed over to the Congress and Jagan Reddy is fighting with his back to the wall. He hasn't run a particularly great government in Andhra. And, this whole dispute over the capital. It's ridiculous that the states were split 10 years. It's been 10 years and, Andhra Pradesh still doesn't have a capital city. So, that's going to be a very interesting fight. And of course, we're looking at, I think, what happens in Orissa and Bengal, where the BJP is expected to make gains. These two states are going to be quite key, really, for the BJP, whether they are actually able to make gains. Because, Naveen Patnaik has been in power now has been Chief Minister for 5 terms. And, that's a really long time for somebody.
Yes.
And, obviously there must be a fair amount of anti-incumbency. And similarly in Bengal, I think there is a degree of anti-incumbency that's working against Mamata Banerjee. And, more and more it looks like a bipolar fight in Bengal. The left and Congress don't seem to have really been able to make any kind of comeback, in the state. So, obviously, the BJP is hoping to capitalize on those anti-Mamata votes.
All right.
So, these are key states, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they, pan out and, really how many gains does the BJP make, because the forthcoming phases,
Yes.
the BJP not only has to hold on to its fortresses, but it has to gain as well.
Absolutely, and the big question certainly is whether this phase 4 will actually buck the low voter turnout trend. That's been a huge concern. But thanks all very much for joining us on India Decides tonight. That's all the time that we have on the show. But on the other side, of course, the big focus is Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Uma Sudhir gets you a ground report from Hyderabad. Stay tuned.